What's good, Royal Republic? Welcome back to another video. Editor Sly here. Glad you could make it. Before we start, please join the Discord community, link down below for me. When you click the link, the invite should appear as shown. Click accept invite for direct access to yours truly, your fellow community, as well as being notified every time we go live. You'll also be able to view all VODs from the Discord server, as well as any YouTube videos, and be notified when I post here on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, around 99% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. Make sure you fix that by hitting the subscribe button and turning on all notifications. If you do that, I can find the content for you and we can watch it together. Shout out to all my current subscribers as well as current subs on Twitch. We call y'all citizens, you feel me? And yeah, enjoy the video. What's good, YouTube? We're back to another reaction. You know what I'm saying? We got a reaction to Pint is Here. We put onto his channel, I think from the Naruto video. He has very good authentic videos about like theories and like concept, not theories per se, but concepts as a whole. Like I think we were talking about animation versus choreography. But yeah, this is gonna be how did you get rid of overpowered characters. You know, pretty far little like. And make sure you check out the Discord comment link down in the description. You'll be notified every time I post a YouTube video, which is twice daily, every time I go live on Twitch. Without further ado though, we're gonna hop straight into it.
I know I tried to make myself sound sophisticated and like I'm above trends, but this time I just have to be honest. I love overpowered characters. It's basic, I know, but I just have to be honest.
I think honesty comes first, and I don't think it's too basic. I'm just OP characters too. There's a couple ways around it. There's a couple ways to do it well too. Whether it be like IQ, whether it be technique, whether it be just adding a substantial amount of comedy in the show, or a mental wall or dilemma like in Mob Psycho.
They walk into scenes and immediately the entire tone shifts. The music changes as their score starts playing, and this week's jobber villain, who exists solely to demonstrate how cool they are, starts shitting themselves. These characters don't just win fights.
It's a longer video too, so I'll be a little less pausey.
They literally clip farm, like you'll be seeing compilations of the battle months after the anime has ended. And of course, audiences, including me, will eat it up. Though, eventually, there will come a time when one question begins to creep in. Why should I be invested in the conflict of this series when I know this character can instantly resolve any plot point?
That is the question. As someone who wants to create a book, manga type vibe, or I guess comic type vibe, it's important to, when you're making an overpowered character, to have limitations. Like, could Gojo solo his verse minus like Sukuna? Sure, but is he fighting all of them at one time? No. So it's like, so you have to introduce certain groups and like certain power constraints, like his thing with the higher ups. It's like there are certain things, checks and balances kind of, that keep the character in play well, and it's like it allows him to be like a queen on the chessboard instead of like you have this one piece that if it's still alive it counts as your king, it can move everywhere just like the queen. You feel me? That is that you don't want to play the game no more. Versus when you have a queen on the board, you can still have a chess match. It's just a really strong fucking queen.
In that way, an overpowered character is actually a double-edged sword. They can elevate the story to greatness, creating a fan favorite that carries the fandom for generations, while at the same time suffocating the rest of the plot. And therein lies the power problem. How does a writer get rid of this fan favorite character without ruining the story or alienating the audience? Well, it's my job to tell you how to do that. So in this video, we're going to break down why overpowered characters are so appealing, how they can become a problem, and most importantly, the best and worst ways to write them.
My dog, my mod. Bro just got an elite badge, first up. Shout out, bro. My phone hasn't like updated to it yet, but that's actually kind of wild. W man. Yeah, we're doing reacts right now. I think I'm gonna do them a little longer today. because like something came up Wednesday, so I wasn't able to stream. So there's about to be a 14-hour. So feel free to come and go as you please. I'm gonna be here all day.
Out of a narrative. So without further ado, let's begin. So what exactly makes a character overpowered? This varies from genre to genre, but for a battle series, it's...
Hold on. Sorry, YouTube. You know, all the chops. You know what's crazy about you being here? Someone came in with a name similar to Kamal. So I like did this whole thing. I was like yapping up about how like, yo, W Mans, my dog came back, blah blah blah. Then it wasn't Kamal. So I just looked stupid live, like, you know what I'm saying? But shout out my bro.
It's usually quite simple. The character possesses overwhelming strength when compared to the current cast of characters at that point in the series. You know that there is a massive difference between a character who is strong and one who is overpowered.
Yes, very important. Facts, I do too. Very important, the difference between a strong character versus like an overpowered character. Like, I feel like, I was gonna use JJK as an example, but like there's such a power clip there. But let's take, we go for like a modern. We see that in JJK. We definitely do. It's like, if we're talking JJK, right? We all know Gojo is like an OP character, right? I would say, hot take, I think Todo is a strong character. You could probably put Nanami in that category too. These are characters that can tip the scales of a battle. When they show up, you know it's more likely than not in their favor. But there are still top tier. Like, that's what I think it is. In general, anime today and media today, we just refer to that as top tiers. We'll be like, oh yeah, these are the top tiers of the verse. That is like our generic term for strong, right? And they can be countered by other top tiers. But then there are those who surpass that barrier where it's like, okay, it's a 10v1, but it's this character. Are they going to lose? Those are the characters where like, you kind of have those moments where you either in your mind have it like, ain't like concrete, they're going to win, or you have it in your mind that, oh, they can't lose, they'll escape somehow. So no matter how bad the odds get, unless they're, you know, surrounded by hella top tiers, you don't for a second like falter in your ideology that this is a overpowered character. And we also talked about this with like Mob and One Punch Man. I was on my phone, so I was trying to stop the vibrations so mic doesn't get cooked. But you see this in Mob and One Punch Man, but overpowered characters, to make them interesting, the author tends to have to add something to their character, whether it's morality and like what their justice stands for, or it's something very simple like from Mob, the mental barriers of wanting to be a regular kid, but he can't because then he wouldn't be able to control his powers, right? Overpowered characters tend to be more interesting, one, because they have badass abilities, right? But two, because 9 times out of 10 the author's putting story behind that. Because if they don't, everyone's gonna go, oh, that's just an overpowered character. You feel me? And because there's so few of them too, they're more likely than any other character to be like a trope of character that you like, oh, overpowered teacher, oh, mysterious overpowered character, nonchalant overpowered character. When we first got introduced to like Rengoku, like the very righteous overpowered character, like they do this thing. It's like there's a heavy difference there.
Specifically that while a strong character is still bound by the rules of tension, conflict, and growth,
I like I put Todo there.
Overpowered character is not. Overpowered characters reverse tension, moving it from the side of protagonists and giving it to the antagonists. They solve conflicts through their sheer existence, and unless they're going up against the very final antagonist of
that's what I'm saying. Unless they're against someone who also has transcended, it's raps, bro. This nigga All Might, bro. They tell stories about this nigga like he's King Von, bro. You got Deku at like 175% talking about some, oh man, if Prime All Might was here, this problem would already be solved. They be talking about these niggas like they're really that. They talk about it All Might like he's Shenron, man.
The only logical progression of growth for an overpowered character is downwards. Essentially, these characters don't face challenges. They are the challenge. And because of the satisfaction of flipping that dynamic on its head, we as the audience love them. But that high can't last forever, because once the audience knows they're unbeatable, so does the story. And that's where the problems begin.
Mob is
the
tough.
First thing you lose are your stakes.
I think for you, I'd recommend Mob first. One Punch Man does have like that comedy aspect to it. But I feel like Mob is like kind of has like the slice of life vibe to it, but you get so much more action. And then if you really do want to sit there and break it down, it's like, oh, that was tough. Emotionally, right here, this was tough. Oh, hold on, that character dynamic was tough. And then there's like good powers in there. And then they kind of balance like having an overpowered character without it feeling like every time it is on the screen, there's not going to be a challenge, you know?
If one character can end every fight, then where does the suspense come?
Levi is different.
Villains can't feel like threats when you know this single
pool.
character can blink every single problem away. Next, your supporting cast will suffer. Writers have a hard enough time letting their side characters stay relevant, but with an overpowered character, this problem becomes even worse.
Especially if the show is focused on an overpowered character, because if I asked you to name me 15 solo leveling characters, I guarantee you can't do it. But it's called solo leveling. It's meant to be focused on Jinwoo. Versus like JJK, you have Gojo, you have an overpowered character. You can still name 15 JJK characters. 7 Deadly Sins. There's Escanor, who's like the OP. You still name 15 7 Deadly Sins characters. Mob, I don't think I can name hella characters. Not because the side cast isn't that developed, but outside of the main cast, I don't pay attention to those people's names because it's kind of slice of life vibe. Same thing for like Classroom of the Elite. But if I was constantly watching these shows, right, I would be able to name characters outside the main character. But when it's that overpowered character where like they just can't be beat at all, there's no sense of comp, there's no hurdles this overpowered person has to go through to like hide that they're overpowered or something, the side cast 100% suffers. To the point where like you don't even know who they are. You feel me?
Everyone else becomes dead weight, literally and narratively
speaking.
It's an all too common trope for these kinds of characters to prefer fighting alone, sometimes even risking their allies' lives just by fighting close to them. And the final issue is the story's immersion. Eventually, you'll find that the plot begins inventing excuses to sideline them. It's the usual shtick of, oh, they're away on a holiday, or oh, they're on a different mission. While the
That's funny, because I was talking to someone about my guy from Naruto, and like, if you know ball about Naruto, basically at the end of the series, he pretty much fights one of the main villains, like the second to last main villain, and he uses a technique that he had at the beginning of the show. So it's like I started telling my cousin, like, really think about it. If he was in the village when like Pain and them attacked, when the village is getting destroyed, the village is not getting destroyed. This is who boxed with the second to last villain of the entire show. It's like, in theory, there was no competition from the beginning, but he doesn't give out the overpowered vibe because he has a limitation of not being able to use chakra, which is like the main thing. So like that build up of hyping chakra up to the end to where like he can just box it, yeah, that's a top tier. It's like, okay, that's overpowered done right. There's like that progression, there's stakes, and there's clearly limitations to what he can do. He couldn't spam it. He was gonna die after if Naruto didn't save him.
The most important events in your story will be going on. The plot bends itself backwards just to keep them away. Not always because it makes sense, but because literally nothing of importance can happen if they're around. So if the character can't grow, can't lose, and can't be logically present, what can you do? Well, you only have two options. Reinvent them or remove them. And that's where things get tricky. So, how do you get rid of an overpowered character? Well, most writers land on one of three approaches. Some graceful, some not so much. Solution 1. Let them pass the torch down.
I say this a lot. I see this a lot. This mod view on iPad go crazy. Yeah, Twitch has been going crazy for like their mobile apps. Like they have mod view, and then if I go to creator dashboard, I can like pull up the whole thing where I can see where I can run ads. I don't see it because I be streaming, right? But if I had two monitors, I can see when ads are about to run and I can stop them. And then I have it on pre-roll, so the first 30 minutes of stream, there's like no ad. Every time pre-rolls happen, it'll like kind of pre-fire ads. That way when people come in, it doesn't have ads. But what I was about to say is the authenticity of his videos and like his creative touch is so peak. You just didn't really notice. One, this alone is effort, right?
Graceful, some not so.
Because you can see there's like a slight outer glow on the clip, which makes it look better than just slapping pictures here. But I take it a step further.
So much. Solution 1.
Crooked text to draw your attention. Rule of thirds used. Right, hold on. Us. All right. 1/3, 1/3. Hold on. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Right? And it's a cool detail on All Might here. I didn't peep this when I first watched the show. It's like an outline of his finger. Why? Who knows? But he added like that picture sound effect. I thought with that.
Let them pass the torch down. This is by far the cleanest method. The character doesn't exactly die, at least not for the time being, but instead they retire. This solution usually gives the...
It also leaves more room in plot. Because like, I'm thinking about like a lot of the manhwa and manga I'd be reading. And like, if you have a character like this and they're like retire in the mountains, so like they can have other disciples. So when strong people come up, it's not like, oh, this is an ass pull. It's like, no. The strongest in the verse has been going for like 15 years. He's retired. You tell me he didn't take one like apprentice in type situation, and then it also allows him to kind of come back on some like, oh shoot, my disciple getting whooped. Let me lock in. I think those are like some of the hardest scenes. So like, yeah, passing the torch, I think it's the most graceful way to have an OP character not be hoed. Like for example, Naruto with Madara, people hold Kishimoto for that. Instead, he wrote himself in the corner because the show gasses up Madara. Like Obito's supposed to be the main villain. Obito's claiming to be Madara. Figure out Obito's not Madara, and then Madara comes and is putting belt to ass on everyone, and fucking turn Sasuke, this like the main side character, the Deuteragonist, into a selfie stick, right? And then out of nowhere, Kage just takes over his body. So they're like, Kishimoto wrote himself into a corner.
The story time to process and react to the loss of the character, while also doing a good job to satisfy the story's fans. Although it does require having a plausible solution to nerf the character, if done properly, it is by far one of the better methods. Solution 2, you guessed it, just kill them.
Man,
this is by far the boldest method.
That shit make me cry.
Killing the overpowered character is shocking and a wonderful way to raise the stakes. Just be aware that this requires an equally overpowered antagonist to pull off, and usually a massive show of spectacle. So pulling this out on someone who isn't the final antagonist is a pretty risky move. You also
Shibuya up there with Gotham, man. Do not let me stay there.
Risk alienating a massive part of your audience by permanently taking out a fan favorite. So just make sure there's an appropriate build-up to the event before you pull it off.
Before you just pack them up.
Solution 3, and honestly the one I like the least, is to just gradually nerf them. You never actually get rid of the character in a formal way. You simply...
Levi's nerf was done well because he's human, he got injuries over time. But my least favorite showing of nerfing someone to the ground is the ass pulls. It's like, they're way stronger than that, but now they're fighting this particular character, so now they're getting hoed. Oh, they dodged a bullet point blank in this other scene. This thing right here just struck them with a sword. Now you can argue, you know, as power skillers will, oh, he dodged the bullet before, so his reaction speed is hypersonic, and this guy slashed him, so his attack speed is actually really fast. I don't care about none of that shit, bro. They will hold a character to the point where it's like, oh, they have like, they've been seen getting hit by a bus, no damage. They get hit by a car, they're dead. Like, they will nerf character. Like, if it's a nerf like Levi's, like, oh, I'm kind of crippled. Oh, I lose an eye. Cool. Just make it make sense. Them leaps be like throwing me. Like, Akame got killed has a couple of leaps when characters die. Cause they packed up pretty much the whole
injuries, weaknesses, or disabilities until the character's strength is roughly around the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, they are still around, but the plot simply doesn't revolve around them as much. Because there's no moment of spectacle, you really can't use this to service a story's themes as much as a death or retirement would have, making it the weakest option. Each method has its own strengths and risks. Pull them off well, and your audience will be more than satisfied. Mess them up, and you get backlash, dropped arcs, and let's be real, a couple of death threats. So let's look at who did it well and who didn't. If you want a masterclass in removing an overpowered character without ruining the story, look no further than All Might. From the moment he's introduced into My Hero Academia, we get the sense that this is a walking legend. All Might is faster than the eye can see, and capable of changing the weather with singular punches alone. For a while, he's both a safety net for the characters and the audience.
You know how bad it is that heroes have to protect civilians from another hero's punch, money? Him nerfed?
Already though, we get to see some of the problems his existence brings. He's conveniently late for the training at the USJ, and essentially resolves that entire arc with just his arrival, albeit with a good amount of struggle. But Horikoshi does something brilliant to combat this. From the moment All Might is introduced, he shows us that his time is already ticking down. His injuries are catching up to him, and overthrows us that his time—
Low-key, I never paid attention to this when I was watching the show. He has stitches on like every part. So it's like, it looks like a bruise how purple it is. But like that, like this whole part was like off. And like, mind you, his rib is right here. So like that rib gotta be like broken. Like contorted type situation.
Time is already ticking down.
And
his injuries are catching up to him, and over the course of the series, his power will only continue to fade. Instead of dragging this out, the story leans into it. All Might doesn't just lose his powers in the middle of a meaningless arc. Horikoshi decides to make a spectacle out of it. All for One versus All Might is one of the greatest battles across the entire series, giving us a horrifying look into the series' final antagonists, as well as what makes All Might the man he chooses to be. And with its conclusion, All Might's exit doesn't weaken the story, but instead only fuels it. Horikoshi ensures his absence had actual weight, that his legacy had purpose. The audience doesn't feel robbed by his departure.
You know how much a hoe you gotta be, bro, to hang a sign like this up every single— That shows you how good All Might was and how much of a symbol he was, because they really thought they was doing something, bro. Every single day they were hanging up this bit. Like, people would take it off, they'd hang this bitch right back up. I am not here. Nerd ass nigga.
They feel moved. That is the gold standard.
Hell no.
That is how you take an overpowered character, a fan favorite, and turn their departure into the most emotional and thematic centerpiece across your entire story.
Point through the camera.
All Might's character, from beginning to end, is used perfectly in service to highlight the story's themes and narrative. He's not just overpowered for the sake of it. The story simply wouldn't exist in its current state without a character like him. Now we have to talk about what happens when it doesn't work. Of course, not every overpowered character can have an exit as graceful as All Might. Sometimes the removal is a lot more contentious. Let's start with arguably the most popular case of this, Satoru Gojo. Spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen. Technically, Gojo was actually removed from the story twice, and with a single glance at his character, one can immediately understand the reasoning for this. Gojo wasn't simply strong, he was literally untouchable. Half of the—
Switch up my content and do like interviews. I think that's tough. I've seen like some barbers do that too. But I've seen like on TikTok some dude like play music or something and have like the people react to it. I think that's more of like a promo thing. But I think interviews is look at the method. And you can do like kind of interviews while you do the cut. And you can get somebody to be the cameraman. Because obviously you focus on cutting hair. And then they can either have it focused on a person, or they can like kind of follow you around on certain parts that are like important when you're like doing a cut.
The entire plot of Jujutsu Kaisen is just the villains coming up with ideas to contain him. And he wasn't just a fan favorite, he was single-handedly one of the most pivotal forces driving the series' popularity. This places Gege in an insanely difficult writing position. Not only is this the fan favorite, he has also given Gojo a set of—
It's interesting that people talk about how like this puts him in a crazy position when like, no matter how much you think about it, he came up with this character. Like, he came up with this story. So in my opinion, I think as a writer, does it kind of hoe him because he has to be careful of like, he can't just make shit happen because he has to always account for what Gojo was doing at that time. But he created the character. So it's like you kind of have to be able to handle that. You, in my mind, as someone who's kind of created something, haven't like published it. You know, I'm no professional, but it's like I've already thought about how the plot goes. So unless my character's more OP than I'm thinking right now, you know what I'm saying? As the creator, you've already like in your head put like a certain amount of thing about it, like downloading a game, a certain amount of hard drive space for this character. So we're like, you know what I'm saying? They got it.
That make him almost impossible to kill. Any writer would have struggled when placed into that position. And I think honestly, Gege did the best thing that he could have. Gojo's initial ceiling was spectacularly done.
Badass too,
it wasn't as much as a spectacle as maybe it should have been, but still set up easily one of the best arcs across the entire series. You won't find many fans complaining about Gojo's ceiling in the prison realm, but Gojo's actual death is where it gets more tricky. See, while Sukuna vs. Gojo is easily the best fight across the entire series in terms of spectacle, the actual ending leaves a lot to be desired. Unlike All Might, who gets to strike a pose and make a speech before
and it wouldn't be like a tutorial either. Unless you like wanted to record a tutorial, it'd be more like, this phone still vibrates every time I get a notification. It's low-key blowing me. I think I just had to turn it on silent. But it low-key be like certain parts of the cut, like when you're doing the fade, they kind of go around the head to kind of show it like piece by piece type situation.
Now the story, Gojo dies off screen. No real goodbye, no closure for the students who idolized him. He's literally killed between chapters. Whether you think it was bold or reckless, or say a sudden death is part of the themes of the story, his execution still felt hollow. Even when the plot gets a chance to slow down near the end, there's no formal send-off for Gojo's character. We just move on and keep the fights going, and it's easy to see why so many fans were disappointed.
People were so mad about the Gojo thing. So mad, especially because Gege kind of made it worse, because he came back and like kind of wanted to give us an explanation for how Gojo got hold. And in his explanation, he said something along the lines of like, he gave the explanation and it was like, I guess, or like, I think. So people were like, you wrote the story. What do you mean you think?
By this, I'm going to be blunt. Gojo made Jujutsu Kaisen. The two are inseparable.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see such a phenomenal character being sent off like he was. Even if you can't dwell on his death during the fight, at least give him a burial scene during the epilogue or anything. Yeah. And then there's the other case, where the overpowered character doesn't get killed off, but it might have been better if they did. Enter Levi Ackerman. From the moment Levi appears in Attack on Titan, he is a force of nature. The series up until this point has mostly focused on humans desperately trying to survive against the imposing threats of Titans. Levi is the only human character in the story who doesn't seem to be prey for the Titans. If anything, they should be terrified of him. And for a long time that worked. Fans loved Levi, and he was a reliable last line of defense, a human who stood on par or perhaps even above Titan shifters. But the deeper Attack on Titan dove into its final arcs, the harder it became to justify keeping Levi around at full strength. So what happened? No, he didn't die, but he was instead nerfed into irrelevance. He gets caught in a blast, loses his fingers, ends up in a
the boy got cooked in the patch notes.
wheelchair, and spends most of the final arc on the sideline.
All glazed
Levi. Not that Levi needed to go out in a blaze of glory, but his exit from the spotlight felt more like a quiet fade than a meaningful conclusion.
Yeah, I don't think Gojo made JJK, but I agree with what bro said in terms of like, and that little thing he put there was like, it kind of wouldn't exist without him, just in terms of like, Kenjaku, spoiler of Doom, bro. I be forgetting it's not. I mean, it's pretty much over, right? But I'm gonna just say the main villain took over old boy's body to start the story, pretty much, because the main villain was in so and so's mom's body, right? So it's like there's that, and then there's the fact that Gojo was in Chapter 0 as well. So like, he's not completely interwoven into like the events that kick off this show, but he's the reason the events that kick off the show didn't start earlier, because from the very beginning they were plotting on how to get rid of him, because the dude's like, oh yeah, I've tried to kill people before you, but when I do it they just get reborn. I had to figure out a way to like, you feel me? But in Levi's case too, though, it's like I also wonder like, what is he doing in the rumbling scenario? You know.
And sure, you could
Especially
argue
since
it's
the villain,
realistic.
Aaron, is
Not
supposed to
every
win
hero
over
dies
protagonist.
dramatically, but from a narrative standpoint, I definitely would have liked to see him dive headfirst into a row of colossal titans, as much as I did with Hanji. In a way, it's the opposite of Gojo. Instead of being removed from the story too fast, Levi was constantly kept around, almost like a crutch until he passed his purpose. And that's the other side of the problem. Sometimes the question isn't how you get rid of an overpowered character, it's why you didn't. Overpowered characters are one of the most thrilling tools in storytelling. They give the audience a sense of spectacle that can hardly be matched by anything else. But all power does come with a cost. If not handled carefully, these characters can swallow the story they're meant to support. They flatten tension, overshadow development, and force writers into awkward corners where the only escape is a rushed exit. That's why removing an overpowered character is more than just a plot decision. It's a narrative responsibility. Do it well and you deepen your world, raise the stakes, and elevate your remaining cast. Do it poorly and you risk alienating your audience, cheapening your themes, and worst of all, making it feel like your story peaked before it was ready. So whether you're a writer making your own stories, or a fan trying to understand why certain stories hit harder than others, just remember, it's not just about how strong a character is and what kind of abilities they have access to, it's about what that strength leaves behind. Thank you for watching. Have any favorite
tough vid about Pint. I think it also kind of correlates to real life. I think in life sometimes you gotta stop worrying about the like what and worry about like the why and the how. That helps you get it done, man. Sometimes you gotta enjoy the details in life. Don't take yourself too serious and kind of just solve the problem as you go. But that was a tough video about Pint. I appreciate y'all boys on YouTube for sticking through to the end of this video. Even if you only watch the first half of the video, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all for sticking through. I did yap here and there, but you know what I'm saying? I gotta react. It's kind of my job. Y'all know what time to find me next. Peace.